Hi, I'm Old Norse specialist Dr. Jackson Crawford. In a recent video on this channel, I talked about the origin of the Old Norse word Yule, or English Yule, or modern Scandinavian Yule, etc., and concluded that it cannot actually have anything to do with the word wheel, Old Norse hjol, actually the commoner word is whale, because that H can't be accounted for. But interestingly, the word clearly did once have an H elsewhere, because the Old English word is sometimes recorded with an H, jehol. And we know that the Old Norse word once had an H because it's borrowed into Finnish with an H. It's juhla, which is party. Now, the Finnish word is usually plural, at least when you're talking about your personal parties rather than big public occasion parties. And that reflects the fact that in Old Norse, and surely in its ancestor language Proto-Norse, it was also generally a plural because you'll refer to several different nights of feasting, apparently 3 nights of feasting that began on a night that is given, it's only mentioned one time, but in 4 different manuscripts it is 4 different names, Hokunot, etc. I think that it may be most likely to have been Hogunot, that is slaughter night, which is a lot like the name of the month of November in many different languages, including Finnish, Welsh, and once upon a time in Dutch, because right about the beginning of winter, you want to be slaughtering the cattle that you're not going to be supporting through the winter, and you're going to feast on those cattle, and that's a natural time to have a wintertime celebration. Now, the root in Yule, or earlier Yehwa, would go back to the same Indo-European root as the Latin word jocus, which is where we borrow the word joke from. But I think that this is a specialized sense in Latin, and that Yule is not the joking time, but rather the swearing time, based on the fact that a verb formed from the same root, like jehan in Old High German and Old Saxon, and jan, and Old Frisian, means admit, confess, testify in court. And I think this is well reflected in the custom that we see discussed in, for example, the Saga of Hervor and Haethrak, which I translated into Sagas of Mythical Heroes, or Helgaku the Hjorvarthsonar, which is in the Poetic Edda, of swearing, particularly binding oaths around Yule. It also appears that Yule probably started after Christian Christmas, perhaps, I suspect, on the night of the first full moon that followed the shortest night of the year.